Red Nation.
Oh, I am back.
The best show for Chicago sports.
Go ahead and put out the Jordan memes, ladies and gentlemen, because your boy is back in the building. And we got some football to talk, ladies and gentlemen, as the Chicago Bears have named their 2024-2025 team captains. We're going to break them down. We're going to go through them. We're going to talk about our thoughts on Caleb Williams already making the cut. Also, just a little recap of some of the stuff that we missed over the previous week, some of the moves that have been made, all that and more. And of course, conversations back and forth with you guys. The week off was fun. There was a lot of Bears talk that I end up missing. But hey, we back in business. We're back rolling in the right direction because, ladies and gentlemen, Labor Day don't stop me from getting the job done. But vacation will. Ladies and gentlemen, it is 9/2/2024. It's 11:02. Your boy's back from vacation, and we got news. Let's do a show. Let's go. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's the vibes I like to come back to. That's the vibes I like to come back to, man. Little breaking news, nothing crazy. Chicago Bears have named their 2024 captains. First off, shout out to you guys in the chat for rocking with the channel while we were gone. Shout out Raymond Bennett. He's the first one I saw up in here. Teddy White in the building. Bob Chimney, John Collins in this mug, man. Bears Junkie, New Harper. Who we got up in here? Oh, Teddy White was the first one. What a yeah. Appreciate y'all for rocking with your boy, man. If you're on the Patreon side, you already know the news. We're going to do a full release where we talk about it with everybody and stuff like that. So if you're on the Patreon side, yeah, I mean, keep it a little hush-hush. But hey, let's talk about the Bears news at hand. Bears have named 8 captains for the 2024 season. Per the Chicago Bears, they dropped it in their own tweet, but I'm reading off of Courtney Cronin's tweet here. Caleb Williams, DJ Moore, Kevin Byard, Cole Kmet, Jaylon Johnson, Marcedes Lewis, TJ Edwards, and Tremaine Edmunds. And there's a couple of names in this list that I think are very not surprising, but it does tell you kind of why they went out and got this guys. And I think the number one guy you start out with is Kevin Byard. To me, this is the easiest name on the list that you could have added in there. When you look at the experience that he's had in his time in the NFL, when you look at how he's been able to go about being an impact player on the field consistently. And yes, I know there was some up and downs last year. Yes, I know that there was some struggles with his season last year. By the way, over 100 in the chat. Oh, wait a minute. Where's my no. I know that there was some question marks on, how was he going to assimilate in, how quick, but I think this tells you. I think that this tells you the kind of player that you're getting with a player like Kevin Byard. Somebody who not only can go out there and perform on a night in, night out basis from a football standpoint. We've seen him be able to fly around the field a ton in preseason. In practice, he's one of the premier players that's out there, especially as far as that DB unit goes. And I'm talking about a very deep DB unit. The fact that you're already naming him one of the captains on this team, I think screams volumes as far as not only just the type of player that he is, but the kind of leadership that he can bring to a team. And I love that. I love that you, and it just shows what Ryan Poles is looking to address. It truly does. It literally goes out there and shows you what Ryan Poles was looking to address, not just the player, but also somebody who can come in and be that leader. Also somebody who can come in and be that guy that can rally the defense and go, hey, listen, boys, we got to make this happen. And I think the fact that a ton of your captains on this list come from the defensive side of the football. It tells you a lot about how confident they feel in this defense. I feel confidently in this defense. I mean, I've been telling you guys the entire time that this is going to be not. And some people may say, "Well, you're drinking the Kool-Aid, Pat." You know, they're not able to rush the passer well enough for you to say that these guys can be an elite level defense. I disagree. We saw how Eric Washington and Matt Eberflus were calling plays. We saw how they were dialing up blitzes. We saw how they were creating pressure on the quarterback. We saw how they were finding ways to do things differently. Yes, and also we saw in most of those games without Montez Sweat. And he has been a guy that I have said consistently is the best player out there. So when you look at just the confidence that this team already has on the defensive side of the football, I think that you just have to be excited by what you're seeing and the fact that even some of the new guys that you brought in have already proven to be leaders of this team. Even some of the new guys that you've added to this unit have already proven to be some of the leaders of this team. Seeing Kevin Byard's name on that list was not a surprise to me. It was not a shock to me, based on just really how he's assimilated himself in with this team. But I do want to know how you guys feel, man. Let me know in the comments below. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page. What are your thoughts on Kevin Byard being a starting off the season as a team captain? Hey, real quick, just a surprise to start the football season. We got sponsors, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to tell you we're going to do a quick read from our sponsor over at BetDSI, and then we will get into Caleb Williams and what he brings to this team. And we're going to get into your comments on this channel and also some news that we're going to have coming up on the channel as well. In Bears Nation, it's your boy Pat, the designer from the Windy City Breeze, where we keep it 100 about everything Chicago Bears. Now, if you're like me, you don't just watch the game, you live it, and that's why you need to check out BetDSI. BetDSI is where it's at if you want to put your money where your mouth is. They've been doing it for over 20 years, giving you the best odds, lightning fast payouts, and a platform that's as solid as the best O-line. Whether you're betting on the Bears to take it all the way or making clutch live bets during the game, BetDSI has you covered. And here is the kicker. Just because you're rolling with the Windy City Breeze, BetDSI is hooking you up. Sign up today with the promo code WCB, and they'll give you a 120% bonus on your first deposit up to $1,000. That's free money, folks, to make sure that you're winning as you back our boys in the blue and orange. So what are you doing? What are you waiting for? Head over to betdsi.eu, use the code WCB, and start turning your Bears passion into serious cash. BetDSI, where real Bears fans get it done. Shout out to our sponsors over at BetDSI, sponsoring the Windy City Breeze. Appreciate that love over here. Make sure you guys tap in with them as well. Now, let's talk about Caleb Williams, ladies and gentlemen. Caleb Williams being named to the captain's list already. I don't think that this is that big of a surprise, because if we're being 100% honest, he's the quarterback. You knew that he was going to be some sort of captain. He is some sort of leader on this team. But I think that what you get by his name already coming up on this list is a confirmation of the Bears' work that they've put in with this young man and how it has been efficient. A confirmation of the process that they've gone through with Caleb Williams and how that has actually come to fruition and worked on a consistent basis. And what I mean by that is, and we heard Albert Breer talk about this. By the way, if you have not done so, hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave that 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. I need y'all to stop playing around and go ahead and
come on. Push the button. Come on. Push the button. Come on, push the button.
Yeah, come on, push the button.
You heard what she said.
Y'all heard what Sue Young said. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page. Stop playing with us. We heard Albert Breer talking about the process that the Chicago Bears went through to get Caleb Williams to this point. And what I mean by that is we heard that basically the confirmation of what we already knew, that the Bears had been implementing their system from the moment that they got an opportunity to meet with Caleb Williams. Now, Albert Breer said this on the Rich Eisen show, and basically what he said was, now they didn't call it installing the offense, But they knew what they were doing at the quarterback position. They knew how they wanted to attack this. They knew what they wanted to do with Caleb Williams moving forward. And so they didn't waste any time. Now, I wonder if this is going to affect how teams do things in the future, because I would assume that even if you know that your quarterback is your quarterback, the NFL probably doesn't want you installing your offense in that way. But the fact that the Bears went about not only installing the offense, but also getting Caleb Williams prepared with his teammates, with the guys that are in the locker room. And I thought this was very poignant that Albert Breer brought this out, basically saying that, listen, you've got veterans on this team that don't want to wait anymore. You've got DJ Moore, who's been with bad quarterback after bad quarterback after bad quarterback after bad quarterback, right? You've got Keenan Allen, who has been with a good quarterback, but has not gotten it done with that good quarterback. And so you're trying to get things done now. You've got Cole Kmet, who signed to a long-term deal. Marcedes Lewis, who is an older veteran on this team, who is also one of your leaders, right? You've got these guys who are ready to hit the ground running and are not ready to be sitting here going, well, we just got to wait for this rookie to develop. We're going to be fine at the end of the day. They want to go now. And because of that, the Chicago Bears went about the process of not only installing the offense, but also, right, when they got that 30-day visit, that they were able to get Caleb Williams in there, and they were like, meet with your teammates, build a rapport with these guys. Let's get you guys in with the veterans. Like, let's figure this out now. Again, the process that the Bears have gone through, you have to praise that. You have to praise that. And I know that the whole Bears civil war happened this offseason and people were losing their minds one way or the other. But at the end of the day, the one thing that we have all said on both sides, it is in polls we trust. And seeing where we are starting this season off, leaps and bounds better. I've said this multiple times, much more prepared, much more in a better position than where we started the season last year. It kind of, again, goes back to that polls process and how he has been able to execute it perfectly at every step. And adding in a guy like Shane Waldron, who's like, listen, this is the offense we want to run. This is how we want to do this. Let's get him the playbook as soon as possible so that he is ahead of schedule. And I remember when I asked Shane Waldron about that, where does he feel Caleb Williams? I'm sorry, not Shane Waldron. That was Matt Eberflus. Where does he feel Caleb Williams is right now when we were in training camp? We talked about how he had started off ahead of schedule at rookie minicamp, and he had started off ahead of schedule at OTAs. Was he starting off ahead of schedule when he got to training camp? And as we continued to watch, the answer was no. It seemed like he was right on schedule, but there were those days, like Flus talked about, where he said it's going to go up. You're going to have your downs. You're going to have your ups. You're going to have your downs. But you had that foundation built already, so there was always something you could lean on to put Caleb in a better position confidence-wise. I can't say that we've had that with quarterbacks in the past. There hasn't been that base thing that you could lean on. There hasn't been that base package that you could go back to and say, hey, this is on him. This is his time. He's going to be comfortable in this. Let's run this for him. And if there has been that, because I think there was some of that with Justin Fields here, where there were things that by year 3 you were more comfortable with. We had an offensive coordinator who didn't always feel like running that. I think the changes that we have seen around Hallis Hall speak to why Caleb Williams can be named one of these leaders, speak to why the Chicago Bears team is in a better position right now than what they were to start the season off last season. And to me, it goes to show you that when you look at how quarterback development is supposed to happen around the league, can any of us say that we've seen this before in a Chicago Bears uniform? That's why I say it's not just Caleb Williams. The process feels different. How they're going about building the team feels different. How they're going about putting guys in position to be successful feels different. And to me, that is the most important thing that you can do for the young players you have on this team, for the veteran players that you have on this team, for the guys that you're trying to build up that maybe, right, you're like, hey, we got some nice pieces on this team, but we need to see a little bit more from them, right? Like, You look at some of those offensive linemen, a guy like Braxton Jones, a guy like Darnell Wright, right? Yeah, really solid. Y'all know how I feel about Braxton, but solid. I say solid. I continue to say solid. By the way, over 200 in the chat in this mug. Over 200 in the chat. Appreciate y'all. But when you see some solid pieces, how do you get them past that solid level? Well, you got to have a great foundation for them to build off of. Have you built that for them? Have you put them in that position where, hey, this is the thing that I can fall back on? I think that you're doing that more now than we've ever seen done in Bears history. I guess probably since Papa Bear Hallis was in the building. And that's how it goes, man. And that's why I feel good about it. Appreciate y'all for tuning in, showing love. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave the 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Baki in the building. Shout out Baki. Holden says, my only problem is, why is Montez Sweat not a captain? You know, I think that here's the thing about Flus. Flus is going to go through the process of putting people in position who, yes, you are a lead by example guy, but also you have that vocal aspect to you. And I think that when you have a mix of both, you do your best work, right? Kevin Byard is not going to sit there and be the rah-rah guy. He's a lead by action guy, but he will get his team calm and under control. I think DJ Moore is very similar in that way. I think when you look at Marcedes Lewis, he's more of the vocal guy. Now, he's going to be a dog in run blocking, but he's more of the vocal guy. When you look at the other two names on there, TJ Edwards, Tremaine Edmunds. Tremaine Edmunds is a lead by action kind of guy, but he's also that calming voice on the defense, right? You can calm everybody down. TJ Edwards, he got a little rah-rah to him. I ain't gonna lie. He got a little rah-rah to him, but he's also got that action about him as well. I think that there's a theme with all of the leaders that you see picked. Cole Kmet, kind of that same way. I think with Montez is 110% about that action. And that's not to say that you can't follow that lead, but sometimes, and this is just my thought on it. Does not mean that this is how Flus is looking at it, or that this is how the Bears are looking at it, but this is just my thought on it. Sometimes you have guys who are your best players that can be leaders in a sense, but don't know how to lead when they're that good because you can't see what they see. I think of guys like Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan. When you talk about them, not to say they weren't leaders on the court, when you talk about them in all right, let's get everybody going. Let's get everybody. I need everybody to see what I'm seeing right now. Everybody can't see what you're seeing because you're so special. Only you see it. You're so special at what you do, everybody can't see how you saw that play out. So, yes, you can be a leader in action, but also we need some of the vocal. We need you to show the guys what you're seeing and how you're seeing it. And I don't know if Montez can do that, because Montez is such a special pass rusher. He's going to see things that other guys aren't going to see. He's got that natural ability to him. And I think that, to me, that's probably the only reason that I would think that you wouldn't go with him, because you've got these other guys on here who can be that calming voice, who can see the game and also teach the game at the same time. And again, I'm not saying Montez doesn't have an ability to do that, but maybe there are guys better suited for that on the team. And I think that the names that you have on this team speak to that as well. Again, if you didn't know, 8 captains named for the 2024 season: Caleb Williams, DJ Moore, Kevin Byard, Cole Kmet, Jaylon Johnson, Marcedes Lewis, TJ Edwards, and Tremaine Edmunds, all named captains. Now, remember, and if Flus continues to do this, how he did during the season, the last couple of seasons, there is usually a revolving captain that comes in. So that could be still, right? Montez Sweat could still be named a captain for a couple of weeks as well throughout the season, right? Rome Odunze could be named a captain. Usually they do that when guys are playing up against old teams or when guys are playing up against in their hometown, different things like that. So there's still that aspect that could play into this as well. Doesn't mean that the Chicago Bears are done with who's going to be captains, but these are your season-long captains, I would assume, unless somebody loses the job, which hopefully things go well and we don't have to see that here. Send in your questions, man. I haven't talked sports in a week. It is the first week that I haven't talked sports in a very, very, very long time. It was weird. I was still tapping in with what you guys were doing over here, what the guys were talking about. Appreciate them for running the show. But it has been a very long time since I haven't sat down and done, multiple shows a week. And I'm ready to talk sports talk. I got a lot of pent up sports talk still on the brain here. So send in your questions. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love as y'all always do, man. Appreciate y'all rocking with us. What we got? 117 in the building. Only 30 likes on the video, man. Let's get the likes up in this mug. Let's get the likes up in this mug. Some other news that we've got coming to update you on the show, because as you know, my last shows with Locked On will be this week. So I'll be doing 2 final shows with Locked On. I think Wednesday for both shows. I'll be doing Locked On NBA, and then I'll be doing Locked On Bulls one final time. So because of that, the Morning Breeze will be coming back 5 days a week. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be doing the Morning Breeze 5 days a week, 6:30 in the morning to about 7:15-ish, usually about a 45 to hour long stream. So tap in with us in the mornings. We will also be adding in a call in line. Y'all want to call into the show, make sure that you guys are calling in to the Windy City Breeze. We will announce the number once we get all of that situated. But I know that that's something that you guys wanted to do. You wanted to be able to actually call in and talk with us on the show. So we're going to add that in as well. And what else do we got? I had something else for you guys that I wanted to talk about. That is going to be new news. Oh, well, the other one, you'll see when we get in the studio. Yeah, that's going to be fun. Let's get to some of you guys' questions in the comments. Appreciate y'all for tuning in, showing love. Holden says, realistic Caleb expectations for year one. I'm going to be honest with you. I have high expectations for Caleb, and I think that's okay. I have high expectations for Caleb Williams, and that is okay. I have 4,000 yards plus expectations for Caleb Williams, and that is okay. I have 25 plus touchdowns expectations for Caleb Williams, and that is okay. You know why? Because he's been put in a position better than any quarterback ever. And this is the thing that I keep talking to Bears fans about. When you're sitting there and you are, what's the right word? You're trying to avoid the BTSD, the Bears traumatic stress disorder. You're trying to sit there and not put yourself back in that mindset of what has happened in the past. You're trying to insulate yourself now so that you're not hurt again. That's not a good way to live. It's not a good way to live. To me as a fan, what's the point of being a fan on a team if you're always going to be down on a team? What is the point of you not being excited about what your team can build or what your team can do? You just want to be a Debbie Downer so that when it's finally done, you can be surprised by it. Like, I don't know what the logic behind it is. It's okay to be happy and have high expectations for your young quarterback. Because guess what? it doesn't mean that if he doesn't meet those expectations, that it was a failed season. My expectations on Caleb Williams are high because I look around this offensive unit. I see DeAndre Swift. I see Keenan Allen. I see DJ Moore. I see Cole Kmet. I see all of these weapons. I see an offensive coordinator in Shane Waldron who, at least in the preseason, things can change when you get to the regular season, but at least in the preseason, it felt like he was being so incredibly consistent with how he was putting his team in a position to go out there and be successful. Now, it still depends on the players to have that success. But when you talk about how he was using some of those naked boots, how he was running boss, how he was doing all of these things that I thought just accentuated the team that you had, I'm excited about that. And guess what? This is the thing that I live for. If you shoot for the stars, at least if you miss, you land on the moon. I think I said that backwards. If you shoot for the moon, if you miss, at least you land in the stars. That's what you're supposed to say. That to me is how I view my Bears fandom. I'm hoping to hit big. But if Caleb Williams throws 3,800 yards and he throws 25 touchdowns even, or he totals for 25 touchdowns even, passing and rushing, and he throws 8 interceptions, guess what? I'm going to leave this season going. We got one. We did it. Good job, Poles. Because that is still a quarterback that is probably going to win quite a few games. That is still a quarterback that is probably going to do what we haven't seen done in a Chicago Bears uniform in a long freaking time. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I just think that if you're going to sit there and have low expectations on Caleb, or you're going to say, whoa, hey, everybody, hold on now. We don't want to put too much pressure on this guy. He's the first overall pick that plays quarterback for the Chicago Bears. There's no more pressure you can put on him. There is zero pressure that you can put on him. There just isn't. What more pressure can you add than, hey, this team's never had a quarterback do anything really good in its city? You're the first overall pick, which comes with an immense amount of pressure already, but also you're the guy that probably everyone's hopes and dreams rely on. Go out there and figure it out. What other pressure can you put on Caleb Williams outside of that? That's how I go about it. That's how I go about it, man. Mario Moore says, I'm with you, Pat. I may be delusional, but in my expectations, but I believe we can make it to the NFC Championship game. Just my thoughts. Now that's interesting. That's a high bar. That's a high bar. But what I will say is this. Right now, I would say your defense is at a level that you could make an NFC Championship. You have to figure out how to get your offense at that level. And it doesn't have to happen right away, but it absolutely has to happen before you get to the divisional games. Can you make that happen quickly enough? And it's not just about getting on the same page. It's about being on the same page consistently. Because the second half of the season, if you don't beat the Packers, don't beat the Vikings, don't beat the Lions, you're not going to get to the playoffs. So you have to have some consistency built in already. And then hit an incredible heater. And more than likely, find a way to either win the division, which I think is going to be ridiculously tough in the NFC North, or just get a schedule where like guys are just getting annihilated in front of you. I think there's still a process that you have to go through, but I do think that there could be a path to an NFC title game. Now, what I will say is this. That is if Caleb Williams is just an okay player. Right? That's if Caleb Williams meets expectations, does not exceed expectations, if he's solid, right? But if he comes out and he's able to CJ Stroud this thing, I don't think that those expectations are too high at all. If he comes out and he's able to CJ Stroud this thing, I think those expectations are probably what we would be okay looking at because of, again, everything around him. And I love how Ryan Poles said this, and it's something I didn't get a chance to talk about because I was on vacation already. But when Ryan Poles spoke and he talked about what he wanted to see from Caleb Williams, when he talked about what he wanted to see from his number one overall pick quarterback. It wasn't go out there and prove all the doubters wrong. It wasn't go out there and be the greatest quarterback of all time. It was rely on your teammates. Rely on the team that I have put together. This is a ridiculously stacked team. If you rely on it, it will be able to do things for you that you probably couldn't do for yourself. And that's just the facts of it. If you rely on this team, it will be able to do things that you didn't expect it to be able to do. And then, in doing that, you can become a very astounding player. The perfect example of that is in San Francisco right now. How many of you in this chat don't think Brock Purdy's that good? I'm not one of them. I believe Brock Purdy is a good quarterback. I think that he has a good team, but I think he's also a good quarterback. I don't think anybody goes in there and makes the plays that he does. I think he's a winning quarterback. I think he's a quarterback that puts his team in really good positions. But how many of you believe that Brock Purdy's not a good quarterback? That the team is the reason? Why? Because he leans on the team. Because he relies on the team to put him in the position when he doesn't have to. Or when he doesn't have it, I should say. When things get tough, CMC. When things get ugly, Deebo Samuels. When things get scary, Brandon Ayuk. When things get crazy, George Kittle. But if you told me in his first full season, Caleb Williams was able to go 69% completion percentage, 4,200 yards, 31 touchdowns, 11 interceptions with a QB rating of 113, I would sit there and tell you, we've got the greatest quarterback in our history. Caleb Williams will be the greatest Chicago Bears quarterback in our history. Are you going to care that it's because he utilized the weapons that he had on the team? Are you going to care that it's because he threw the football to the good wide receivers and they were able to score touchdowns? No. And that's what I mean by it. We want this guy that in the worst situations won't struggle. We want this guy that in the worst situations can take his wide receivers and turn them into gods. Well, there's this really, really good guy who's arguably going to go down if he continues winning at the pace that he's winning at, as the greatest quarterback of all time. He's certainly on the greatest run that a quarterback has ever been on in NFL history. And when his weapons weren't the same last year, he struggled. Now, those struggles were still not really struggles, right? We're talking about a 4,100-yard season, 27 touchdowns, 14 picks with a 92 quarterback rating. And I'm talking about Patrick Mahomes here. But until him and Travis Kelce figured out what they needed to get done later on in the season, he struggled. Why? The weapons weren't the same. Your team matters. I know we want to live in this world where the team doesn't matter, where the quarterback is just Jesus Christ and he shows up on the field and he just puts his arms out and footballs are flying into receivers' hands as they fall into the end zone. But that's not the real world. No Super Bowl team won because of one dude. You want to win Super Bowls? The teams matter. And so when you look at guys like Brock Purdy, heck, when you look at guys like Patrick Mahomes, when you look at these players who have had the most success, we talk about the team. Nobody looks at Peyton Manning's teams and go, "Oh, Peyton was just doing it by himself out there." Yeah, Marvin Harrison, the dad of the guy that everybody's like is going to be a ridiculously good wide receiver. He's pretty good. Hall of Famer. Well, Tom Brady, you know, he never had the wide receivers that when he won the Super Bowl. He just had the third greatest tight end of all time. Just saying. Yeah. Yep. AJ Grizz, Reggie Wayne. Just Reggie Wayne. He was all right. Oh, Jay Grizz, shout out again. Dallas Clark. Great names here. He was all right. The teams matter. And so I love that Ryan Poles said that about his young quarterback. Don't go out there and rely on yourself. Are there going to be moments where you have to be better than the defense, where you have to put the team on your back? Yes. 100%. By the way, over 300 in the chat. 300. Are there going to be moments where you have to be a difference maker? Yes. There just are. But are there going to be more moments than not where you have no choice but to rely on the pieces that have been put around you? That's every single play in football. Ask J-Mac, ask Tommy Waddle, ask whoever you want to ask that's been on an NFL offense. Whoever you want. If one of those 11 players doesn't make the right play or runs the wrong route or makes the wrong block or makes the wrong read, the play's dead. And that's when you need those special players to make special plays, usually because somebody didn't do their job. Every single play in the NFL, for you to run a 5-yard hitch route, you need your team to dominate. And that's why I love Ryan Poles saying that about Caleb Williams. That's why I'm excited that Ryan Poles said that about Caleb Williams, because I think that is the most important piece that is going to lead to success for the Chicago Bears. It's not just Caleb. It's how you utilize the team and how you're able to go out there and have a cohesive unit. And yeah, you got to have that clutch gene. You got to have that. You got to have that moment where you're doing it over everybody else, right? The Brady moments at the end of the game, the Rodgers moments at the end of the game. You got to have the arm talent to get it down there. You got to have the the IQ to know where to go with the ball. You have to have all of those things. But when you have that with no team, you usually aren't putting yourselves in a position to go out there and win very often. But hey, I think that we've got some really good situations for the Chicago Bears to be in right now. I'm excited. We've got our 8 captains named. If you didn't hear the captains, Caleb Williams, DJ Moore, Kevin Byard, Cole Kmet, Jaylon Johnson, Marcedes Lewis, TJ Edwards, and Tremaine Edmunds, all named captains of the Chicago Bears. We've got some news coming soon. I'm doing my last shows on Locked On this week, so we'll be doing a ton more over here on the Windy City Breeze. Make sure you tap in tomorrow for the Morning Breeze at 6:30. Make sure you're tapped in for the daily show. It won't be a daily show later today because of Labor Day, all that stuff, man. People celebrating. Y'all go out there, have fun. But tomorrow we'll be back at it again. So 6:30 in the morning. Tomorrow's daily show will be at 5. So tap in with us on that as well. As always, man, y'all stay safe out there. It's your boy Pat the Designer, back at it again. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Appreciate y'all for showing love. I have missed talking sports with you guys, and I am so glad to be back. Y'all stay safe out there.